Greetings, fellow fairy tale lovers. It is I, Trinity, once again, here to read you a fairy tale that maybe you've not heard before. It is from African American Read Aloud Stories. I'm sure that'll shock people who have tuned in for other episodes. And this is the second one in this series that seems obviously African American versus African, or rather, just clearly has a Western influence in the form of Christianity. In this case, it is called Don't Blame It on Adam, and the subheading is A poor woodcutter believes he would be living a life of ease if Adam had not been banished from the Garden of Eden. So we are going to hear a tale, and here we go. There once was a poor woodcutter named Ayapo, who lived on the edge of a village in a small hut. Every morning he rose early and went deep into the forest to chop wood. Then he bundled it up and carried it to town to sell. He was not able to eat breakfast until after he sold some wood, so he would have money to buy something to eat. "Wood, wood, who will buy some of my wood?" he would say as he walked up and down the streets. "It's all the fault of Adam. Good wood for sale." One day, as Ayapo was selling his wood, the king heard what he was saying. "Who is this person?" he asked his chief advisor. "And why does he say that it's all the fault of Adam? If someone has wronged him, then I should know about it." The chief advisor of the king asked the other officers, but none of them knew who the woodcutter was or what he meant by it. So they took him to the king. The poor woodcutter fell on the floor in fear and respect. "Now, woodcutter, what is your name?" asked the king. "Sire, my name is Ayapo." "Your name, Ayapo, means many troubles. But why are you blaming Adam?" "I have heard that long ago Adam disobeyed God and ate the forbidden fruit. If he had not, we would all now be living in the Garden of Eden, and I would never go hungry. This is why I say it is all the fault of Adam." "I see. You work hard, yet you go hungry. It does not seem fair that you are suffering because of Adam's mistake. I will help you." The king called his chief advisor. "Have Ayapu washed and dressed. Bring him to the palace and let him stay in one of the rooms there. Take his rags and wood away. He will have a new life." Then he said to Ayapo, "From now on you can call me brother. We will share everything. You can do anything you like except for one thing. You may not open the green door at the end of the great hall. That is the one thing you may never ever do. Do you understand?" "Oh, my king, what reason do I have to open the green door? I have food, clothes, and shelter. What more could I ever want?" cried the happy Ayapo. And so the woodcutter began a life of comfort. He never had to get up early or work hard. He had so much to eat, he was even starting to get chubby. He had forgotten all about the green door until one day he happened to pass by it, and as he did, he remembered it was the door he was never to open. However, he couldn't help wondering why he, the king's own brother, was not allowed to find out what was in the room behind the door. He sighed and walked on. During the next few days, Ayapo seemed to be drawn to the green door. Several times a day he found himself outside the door, and each time he was getting more and more curious as to what was behind it. Sometimes, without even realizing it, his hand actually moved towards the handle, but he managed to stop himself in time. One day the king said, "Brother, I have been called away to another town, and I will not be back until late today. I am entrusting the palace to you. Please take care that nothing happens." After the king left, the woodcutter started thinking, "I'm responsible for the palace, so surely I am also responsible for the room behind the green door as well. I must be, for I am the king's own brother and have been left in charge. I am going to find out what is hidden there." After checking that no one was looking, he put his ear against the door. He heard nothing. "Oh, I must know what is in there. I will just open the door a tiny crack and close it again. The king will never know." And so he opened the door just slightly. The room was dark, but after a while he could see that all that was in there were the old rags he used to wear and the wood he used to sell. Just then a mouse ran out the door. "Oh no!" cried Ayapo. "The king was hiding a mouse in the room, and now it has escaped. I must catch it." As he ran after the mouse, his shoes fell off. He tripped over the bottom of his long, fancy robes and had to take them off. Still, he could not catch the mouse, and he was now very hot and very out of breath. Suddenly, the king appeared. He had returned early. "What are you doing, Ayapo?" boomed the king. "Why are you running around the palace naked?" Poor Ayapu threw himself at the king's feet, sobbing, "I'm sorry, I did not mean to let your mouse go." "What mouse? I have no mouse," asked the king. "The mouse in the room, when I opened the green door." "Wait, you opened the green door?" "I did not mean to. It was wrong, but my feet kept taking me there, and I was curious, and—" "Ayapu, I am very disappointed in you. Opening the green door was the one thing I told you not to do." I know, sire, but I am the brother of the king, and now you want to be the king himself." "You are worse than Adam. You should have learned from his mistake," shouted the king. "I am sorry, my lord. It will never happen again, I promise. What do you wish me to do?" The king's anger had disappeared. Now he had tears in his eyes. "Go back to the room and take your rags and sticks," he said sadly. "Return to the market and sell your wood." "Yes, sire," was all the woodcutter could say. "And remember this, others cannot make you happy. It is up to you and your fate. Go and work hard and know that your poverty is not the fault of Adam or anyone else." And so Ayapu returned to the market. Once again he shouted, "Wood for sale! Who wants to buy good wood?" But he never mentioned Adam again. The end. Okay, so this one, I think the intended moral is different from my takeaway. Happens pretty frequently, but yeah. So I think the intended moral of this is to take responsibility for your own station in life and not blame others for your hardships. However, the moral that I take away from this story is that you shouldn't apply conditions to assistance. Help people for the sake of helping people, not because you want to put them through some sort of strange test with a really heavy penalty if they fail it, that they're unaware of in the beginning anyway. And this definitely comes off, it draws the parallel directly to the Christian Bible with Adam and God. And in my opinion, it's the same situation there and here, where someone in power is tempting someone who has no power for their own purposes, but setting up a test that is intended for the person to fail, possibly to justify cruelty and their station and not helping them anymore. Like on the surface, Bluebeard is the fairy tale that I think of because he also required his wives to not go into a room, and it seemed arbitrary, but then you find out in the end that really is just a test she's designed to fail, just as the other 6 or 7 women did prior, because he just wants to murder them. That's clearly the point. He's not on a quest to find the most virtuous wife he can possibly have. He just wants to murder young, pretty women. So yeah, why? Just why do that? And then the king's last statement, especially, really resonated with me for like economic inequality. Okay, and I quote, "Others cannot make you happy. It is up to you and your fate. Go and work hard and know that your poverty is not the fault of Adam or anyone else." Okay, so earlier in the story, which is only like 3 pages long, so it's not even long ago, the king said that it wasn't fair that the woodcutter could work super hard, full time, and still not to be able to afford basic necessities. Does that sound at all familiar, my millennial friends? So yeah, and it also makes me think of that old saying in the US, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, which is supposed to be inspiring, but if you think about it for even a moment, you realize that it's physically impossible for someone to pull themselves up by the shoes that they are currently wearing. Someone else might be able to help them with that, but they cannot do it alone. And that was the original point. The message just got skewed to mean the exact opposite, because obviously we can't have the poor people thinking that it's the fault of the rich people and them not sharing. No, gotta blame them, their lack of virtues, other poor people that are maybe a different color or a different religion from them. Yeah, so timeless, really. And the king actually did make Ayapu happy with no sweat. It literally didn't impact him at all. He just had his chief advisor chuck Ayapu into one of his many unused rooms and didn't miss, like the food or anything. Literally just shared because he had such an abundance. and then designed a test for Apu to fail so that he could justify tossing him back on the street. And now, if the king didn't already think that, it's going to be pretty easy for him to just disregard the hardships of his other subjects because it is their fault that they're starving. So, yeah. What do you think? Like, subscribe. Who's the bad guy in this? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on who the bad guy is in the story. Is it king? Is it the king? Is it Iapo? Is it an oppressive system? Does this apply to your life or any other situations or other tales? Let me know. I love hearing from you. So until next time, have a good day.